Yeah, and Brian and Lucas, it's not just the large groups of migrants that are flooding into the U.S. Cartels are funneling in massive amounts of deadly fentanyl as well. It's one of the busiest drug trafficking centers is in Tijuana, Mexico, in fact. Less than 5 miles of the border, over the border. It's just 20 miles from San Diego, many of you know. Customs and Border Protection saying more than half of all fentanyl seized on the southern border is in the San Diego region, where it killed more than 800 people last year. That's up from 92 in 2018. Let's bring in Derek Maltz now. He's a former DEA Special Operations Director. First of all, Derek, if you would, how would you quantify the success rate of Border Patrol agents and the DEA with fentanyl seizings? I mean, keeping this deadly drug out of our country.
Well, my hat goes off to the brave men and women of law enforcement, not only at the CBP, Border Patrol, DEA, FBI, Homeland Security, and all the police around America. Right now, Tijuana is like a war zone, deadliest city in Mexico, bodies in the streets, 2,000 homicides, no rule of law, because the president in Mexico supports hugs for thugs, not bullets, and he's very soft on crime, failing miserably, just like in many U.S. cities.
Yeah, and let me jump in on that point you're making there, because there's no controlling, Derek, there's no controlling the cartels on the Mexico side. So how can the U.S. government control them and their illegal business here in the U.S.?
Well, the U.S. government is doing okay with the law enforcement. They're out there making seizures. I mean, look, in San Diego, you talk about Tijuana, there's a 2,375% increase in fentanyl-related deaths, okay? You look at what the CBP seized last November, 17,500 pounds and 389 pounds of fentanyl with this meth in one tractor trailer. So, and it's not just out there. Look at what's going on in Nogales, Arizona. CBP, they seized millions of pills like last week. In 8 days in November, they seized like 5 million pills. So they're doing a great job.
Yeah, but it's still happening. It's happening too much. We all know this is a big problem. And so now I want to ask you, how can the U.S. government stop the cartels before the points of sale in the U.S.? I mean, can they be more aggressive and go after the people who are in the U.S. that are helping the cartels?
Absolutely, Arthel. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago when I was on your show, the U.S. government should have a very high-level meeting in Mexico with the Mexican officials and to pretty much, put it on the table that we can't continue to lose 9,000 Americans every month. And those numbers are probably underreported because CDC statistics are not accurate. But we have to put more pressure on Mexico to go after these labs. The lab seizures are way down. We used to have a lot of success with the Mexican Marines, but because of President AMLO's soft on crime policies, just like Joe Biden, we are not going after the cartels. There's a clear and present danger in America, so we have to go after these labs. And if it means using technology in the United States to help Mexico shut down these labs, we have to do it. Too many Americans are dying.
So you're saying that there's
way more aggressive.
Absolutely. Excuse me, Derek. But so are you saying that the Biden administration is doing nothing at all? I'm not taking up for them, but I'm just a little bit flabbergasted if you're telling me they're doing absolutely nothing.
Well, I'm not saying they're doing nothing. They are helping opioid-addicted people around America with Narcan and other types of things. But they're not talking about this crisis, Arthel. They're not telling the kids in our schools. They're not going on social media. They're not doing public service announcements. That's what we need, education for the kids so they stop using these deadly illicit substances. So they're failing at the most basic level.
Yeah, and as you know, the DEA did launch the One Pill Can Kill campaign because when you're looking at the supply and demand aspect, we have to figure out how to decrease the demand. Is there 100%. More that can be done? Is there something that parents can be doing? We're not, be clear, we're not blaming parents for what the kids are doing. You don't always know what your kids are doing, but go ahead, Derek.
Absolutely. The parents just need the information. DEA's onepillcankill.gov is a phenomenal resource. There's nonprofit groups all over the country, Lost Voices of Fentanyl, Song for Charlie, fentanyl groups are established by families who lost their kids. So there's a lot of awareness. Parents need to just learn a little bit more. And we are definitely not blaming the parents because kids are making mistakes, but they shouldn't be dying from mistakes. And one last thing, this is not a red or a blue issue.
Go ahead.
Red, white, and blue, all the way.
No, it's not. Absolutely. It's red, white, and blue all the way. And circling back to the top, I just want to know, is there, because people, we can sit here all day and talk about it. What can be done now at the source? Is there anything that can be done finally?
Well, it depends on the leadership. And if the leadership wants to, they could destroy these labs immediately. We know where they are. We have informants that could tell us exactly where they are, and we could destroy them with really good technology. But that's got to be done at the highest levels. And right now, we have the soft on crime policies that are impacting our cities all over America.
And Derek, are you saying that we, as the U.S. government, can destroy those labs? Would we not have to have the, approval, if you will, of the Mexican government because it would be on their soil?
Well, like I said, we have to have a meeting down there. I'm not aware, like, for example, the border czar. Has she been down to Mexico to talk to these officials about destroying these labs? Because that's the source. If you have a leak of water in your house and the plumber comes over, he shuts down the main valve first, and then you figure out how to deal with the flooded house. We have a flooded country with poisonous fentanyl. So we have to be more aggressive. We're not doing it. And that's my recommendation.
And we will leave it there on your recommendation. Former DEA Special Operations Director Derek Maltz, thank you very much for joining us. Brian?
Thank you so much.